They call it finding your soulmate. They call it true love, but the universe calls it something much simpler. An instinctual trick to ensure the survival of the species. We've been fed a diet of romantic lies since the day we were born. But tonight, the fairy tale ends. Love is not a sanctuary. It is a biological trap designed to make you sacrifice your peace for the sake of a nature that doesn't care about your happiness. Schopenhauer knew the truth that most are too weak to face, that romantic passion is nothing more than a mask for the sexual impulse. Nature drapes a veil of poetry over a brutal, animalistic necessity. You think you've found a connection of souls. No, you've simply been selected by an evolutionary algorithm that needs a new generation of slaves. And the moment that purpose is served, the magic evaporates, leaving you with a stranger and a lifetime of regret. Why do you lose your mind when you fall in love? Because nature cannot afford for you to be rational. If you saw the object of your desire as they truly are, a flawed, aging organism with its own selfish demands, you would never compromise your freedom. Nature has to project a hallucination upon the other person. You aren't in love with them. You are in love with a fantasy your hormones have painted on their face. Notice how the most intense passions lead to the most miserable unions. The will to live of the species doesn't care if you have a compatible partner for conversation. It only cares about the genetic quality of the offspring. It will force you into the arms of your worst enemy if it means a healthy child. You are being steered like cattle toward a slaughterhouse of domestic boredom, and you call it destiny. In our modern age, this biological trap has evolved into a transactional nightmare. Look at your screens. People aren't seeking partners, they are seeking trophies. They don't want a soul. They want a status symbol to show off to their friends, those same friends we already know are waiting for them to fail. You are being appraised like a piece of meat or a bank account. She doesn't love you. She loves the security you provide and the ego boost your attention gives her. He doesn't love you. He loves the way you validate his dominance. The moment a better version of you appears, someone with more utility, more youth or more resources, the eternal flame will flicker and die. You are replaceable. You have always been replaceable. The romantic myth is just the branding used to sell you the contract of your own servitude. All romantic relationships are essentially two beggars trying to convince each other they are royalty. You are empty, so you look for someone to fill that hole. But they are empty too. You end up in a mutual exploitation pact, where both parties are constantly disappointed that the other person couldn't fix their life. It is the height of narcissism to expect another human being to be the source of your happiness. This is why resentment is the final destination of almost every couple. You start to hate the person you once loved because they failed to live up to the godlike projection you placed on them. You blame them for your own boredom. You blame them for the fact that life is still empty even with a warm body next to you in bed. But the fault isn't theirs. The fault is your own for believing in a lie designed by a nature that finds your individual suffering irrelevant. What happens when you stop chasing the ghost of romance? Most people fear this question because it leads to the void. But in that void, there is power. When you stop needing the validation of another person to feel alive, you become dangerous. You are no longer controllable. You are no longer a puppet of your instincts. Schopenhauer taught us that the only true path is the denial of the will. Stop begging for crumbs of affection. Stop participating in the theater of dating when you accept your fundamental solitude. You gain a dignity that no relationship can ever provide. You aren't lonely. You are finally free from the most pervasive and destructive delusion of the human race. You are whole, not because you found a half, but because you realized you were never broken to begin with. Let them have their weddings and their anniversaries. Let them celebrate the closing of their own cages. You know better now. You see the machinery behind the curtain. The next time you feel that pull, that spark, recognize it for what it is. An predator trying to lure you back into the cycle of pain. Smile at the trap and walk away. The shadow doesn't need a partner, it only needs the truth. Welcome to the end of the illusion. Welcome back to yourself.